everyone. I'm Amy Rodrigues, and we are on the Time Will Tell segment for Canine Chronicle TV. And Time Will Tell, we go back to the past with our best dog people, our historians of the sport. And I am so excited because I have gotten to interview some of the greatest people in the sport of dogs today, but this one was my childhood crush.
Uh-oh.
And I'm saying that on air.
On live video.
On
Wow.
live video, my humongous crush. The first time I was ever asked 10 questions, and one of the questions was, if you were a dog, what judge would you want to be gone over by? It was you. Like that.
I remember that actually.
Yes. So anyway, watching you show dogs as a kid, before you even judged and you found out who I was, watching you show Irish setters, oh my God, you were so, anyway. All right, so my childhood crush, I'm getting to interview right now.
And I'm being interviewed by the Brittany girl from California. It's just still be the Brittany girl from California.
Yes, that's true. Not a lot of people remember that. They all remember the smooth fox
I'm
terriers.
giving myself away. Okay.
It was 9 years old when I think I first met you with the Brittany.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a long time ago.
That was a while back.
Yes. So our Time Will Tell segment kind of helps our audience get to know the judges better, build a bridge, and actually helps them to learn about the way that the sport used to be. And we're going to start off with, how did you get started in dogs?
Wow, that's an ancient question. My aunt, not my biological aunt, but I had a good friend of the family who I could respectfully call aunt, had a Borzoi bitch that she got actually from Canada, from Audrey Bembo.
Wow. Again, names. Listen to the names, people.
And it turned out to be a good bitch. I knew nothing about dog shows. She said to me, "I'm going to a puppy match. Will you please come with me?" And I said, "Sure." And she was about as athletic as the chair I'm sitting on. And she hands me the lead and said, "Do this." And I did, and it was fun.
And you were a natural.
Fun. No, I wasn't a natural. The bitch was a natural, which was very good. I was glad she was lead broken. But that's the first time I ever showed a dog. And actually, she became my first champion that I showed.
How old were you?
I think I was 19 or so. Was I 19 yet? I must have been. I think I was a freshman in college at the time.
Okay. And then how did it progress from there?
Well, I was taking a business degree. And my second year in school, in college, I said, this is not for me. I don't want to do this. This was something my family picked for me. And I went to a couple of dog shows with my aunt, who I called aunt. And I sitting in the Gazette, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I wanted to not go to school for a while because I didn't want to sit behind a desk. Mm-hmm. And I'm reading the Gazette at the time, and there's an ad in there, apprentice handler wanted at shows for Ted Young. I did not know who Teddy Young was. I walked over and I said, "Who's Mr. Young?" And then they said, "Over to the Cocker Ring." And I went over to the Cocker Ring, and I'm watching him and show dogs. And I went over and asked him after. I said, "I have 6 weeks left in this semester, but I'm not going to go back to school after that for a while, and I will make myself available if you'll trust me and give it a shot." And Teddy said yes, and he waited, and I worked for Teddy for like 3 years.
Amazing. And what a mentor to start under. Again, names, people. If you don't know who he is, go back and read, because you should know this history of the sport of dogs.
I feel very fortunate because I think I grew up in a time in the dog game that was the highlight of the dog game, because I didn't have just Teddy as a mentor. We used to hang around dog shows all the time and talk. I mean, there was Janie. Janie would take anybody that works hard at it and knows an interest and take it under your wing. And well, everyone that knew Janie as a kid got a box handed to him at one time or another. Mm-hmm. She was wonderful with that. I said she was like my surrogate mother. But there was Alva Rosenberg. I used to sit with Alvaro in his antique shop during the week and talk when I had a day off. I just listened, and the man had so much knowledge. He just spewed the history of dogs and the importance of this and that. And I remember one statement he made. He made a statement I still keep it dear to me. If you're going to understand a standard, you have to go back and learn why it was written and what's the underlying reason for what they're asking for.
So critical.
I had the privilege of showing dogs to Percy Roberts. Annie was wonderful at that time to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Tongman was a great mentor in my life in the hound breeds, and it just goes on and on. I think it's changed though now.
That's what we want to talk about. What's the difference between then and now?
There were people that were in the dog game that wanted to be students. There were bench shows. So people didn't leave. They stayed there most of the time and talked to each other about their breeds.
They shared the information, learned from each other.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And handlers were the same way too.
Mm-hmm. I remember when I was growing up, most of the shows weren't at the same location. We'd have to pack up and leave. And if we were working as an assistant for someone and someone was still packing, they would send us assistants to someone else to help them pack up. And then we caravan together. The camaraderie was so much different.
Absolutely. It was one big family.
Yeah.
My terrier friends, we used to sit around after dinner and put a bronze on or any kind of porcelain sculpture on the table of a terrier and talk about it and analyze it and look at the proportions. I don't see that today.
Yeah, I agree.
Everybody rushes today. Everybody wants to be an old breed handler, and everybody wants to be an old breed judge, and nobody wants to put in the time.
I agree.
It's filling in boxes.
Absolutely, yeah. And how did you transition so you were an apprentice and then you became an all-breed judge?
No, I was an apprentice handler.
And then
I handled dogs professionally for 20 years.
Yes. And did you love, I already know the answer, did you love teaching your assistants?
Oh, yeah. Well, we used to sit around all the time. A dear friend of mine used to say, Elliott didn't like going to dog shows. He liked sitting around the kennel, putting dogs on a table and trimming and conditioning them. Mm-hmm. And I did. I really enjoyed conditioning dogs and trimming them because it got to the point where if I went in the ring and showed a dog to my best of my ability and the dog looked good to me, it didn't matter what most of the judges did.
Amen.
You know, but if I had a special dog in my mind, we had judges that I used to look for.
Exactly.
To start a judge. You know, today it's different. Everybody jumps in and shows a dog immediately.
There's no strategy to launching a dog's career.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. We used to sit and let's look who's doing these specialties up, and you'd see somebody like an Annie. Mm-hmm. Show a dog to Annie, and you want to get started that way.
Because she endorsed it.
Yeah.
She said it was a good dog of
a
its
ribbon
breed.
from her meant something.
Absolutely.
Meant a lot more than a ribbon from a lot of other people.
And without Annie and without some of the other judges that have passed away, the pool of who you're looking for to launch a dog under it's getting tougher and tougher. Yeah.
And the most dog shows I made, I think, when I was campaigning, 2 dogs that for good clients. I don't think I ever made more than like 110 dog shows a year. And today it's like on the road all the time.
Mm-hmm. You're always
it's too
gone.
Much.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's not good for the handlers, and it's definitely not good for the dogs.
No, absolutely not.
So did you never hired a handler? You went into just showing dogs yourself and advancing from an apprentice into a handler?
Yes and no.
And no. You did hire a handler.
When I started judging dogs, I started breeding English setters. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like a campaign. I finished my own dogs. We'd finished dogs then, mm-hmm. but I never campaigned with my name on it. That was that mm-hmm. good. We fortunately had a very good bitch, and I did hire a handler, And I did give it to someone to show until it finished. And they were very proud of it, and the handler did a fabulous job with it, and I was happy.
Yeah, yeah, a beautiful bitch.
Yeah.
Ugh, to die for. Bring it back now. I mean, how many dogs from back then do we wish she had now to show everyone this dog?
It's different. It is different. And I'm not saying it's all for the worse, because here we're sitting in here in Salem, in a show in Salem. There's a big show up in Canfield. And yet the groups here are strong as anything.
Okay, I'm just going to interrupt because I hope we air this one after our last video, because you're the second judge sitting in this seat today that is saying that the competition at this dog show is beautiful and inspiring.
Okay.
So good to hear.
It is.
Because it hasn't been. Because there's so many shows and so many different venues to go to that it dilutes the whole process of winning a Best in Show. It has less meaning.
Exactly. No, exactly.
Okay.
And it's just timing maybe, because this is indoors and it's August and it's air conditioned and climate controlled. So people come here and good for the clubs.
Yes.
I mean, good for the clubs. It's wonderful that way.
The last question for you, because we're going to keep it short, but you are definitely someone that I would love to do a Zoom call later with and ask more questions for people to learn from. So we might set that up later, okay? But
For you, I'll make myself available.
Yay. Are you flirting back with me after all these years?
No, I'm too tired. I'm too old right now.
Darn it. Oh. Anyway, the last question is, tell us a funny story of when you first started showing dogs.
Oh, wow. This is funny because I talked about it to somebody a couple of weeks ago. When I worked for Teddy, we showed a dog, and it was kind of my dog in the string. It was one of my. I had more fun with this dog. I think if you asked me the top 10 dogs that I had fun with and didn't show, one of them was called Louis. It was a chow. It was Eastwood Lion Tamer of Esalen. He was owned by Gene Hetherington and Sam Draper.
Wow. If you don't know who either of those two people are, you're missing out two rock stars in the history of dog shows.
Well, I had more fun with this dog, and I did him up. Teddy showed him, and we drove all the way out to Ohio once, because there was like a supported entry or something in Caucus. I don't remember what it was, but Jean came along too, and she was there also at the time. It was funny. We go second in the group, and at that time they gave out these big trophies, these plastic things we used to call them wing victories and all. The second place trophy was about this. Teddy came back to the crates, and he comes back to the setup, and he takes the trophy and he goes, bam, right in the garbage can. He was so pissed off. All of a sudden on the mic you hear, will Mr. Young please come to the club table? And he's holding his head. And they gave him the wrong trophy. They gave him the herding dog trophy.
Oh no! Oh no!
Fortunately, the woman who was the trophy chairman, she laughed about it too.
Okay.
I came back to the garbage can and took the label off and put it on the real trophy.
Perfect. Oh, perfect.
Gene and I still talk about that. That's hysterical.
Oh my goodness.
I never saw Teddy turn red like that.
Oh man. Oh my goodness. Great stories. You guys, I hope that you're enjoying our Time Will Tell series. Thank you, Elliott, so much for joining us today. And I definitely want more time with you.
It's been fun. Thanks for asking me. And I'm sure I'll be glad to share some time with you again.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy.